Yeah, Kyron, where have you been playing mostly in the defensive backfield this spring, and how would you evaluate how your spring has been to this point?
Well, really, I've been going back and forth between safety and our star position. I'm at the point where I'm cross training, getting reps at both safety and star. I wouldn't say there's one position I'm getting more, and it's probably just kind of like split.
How would you evaluate how your spring's been so far?
I think I've had a pretty good spring. Productive. Just trying to take it practice by practice, and just focus on getting better. That's the main objective of the spring, just getting better and getting closer and closer. Ready for the next season.
Yeah, what does Janelle Aguero bring to this secondary, and have you seen him improve this spring?
And Jonell, yeah, he's improved a lot this spring. As far as his leadership role, speaking up more, being a great leader, and also the energy he brings, at the star position, especially. He's really physical, and he's a tough guy, and I think he's very instinctive, and he's improved. Like coverage, he's been really good in coverage this spring.
Yeah, Kyron, what's it like coming to Georgia as a guy who had never really played defensive back and learning from Kirby Smart,
Yeah.
Dante Williams, Will Muschamp, all the defensive back minds who have been around here?
Yep, it's been an experience. Coming in. I mean, I was a running back in high school, so you couldn't tell me how to backpedal when I came in here. So all that was kind of new. So just learning, under really the best, I would say the best, defensive coaches, the game has seen, Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp. So I'll be honest with you, it was tough, as a freshman, just trying to figure out, first of all, how to play DB, and secondly, our system. It was just a lot, but I would just say, it was just a learning experience. Like just a part of the ride. You know what I'm saying? So I'll just say, like, freshman, it's gotten better ever since. When I get better learning, our system and learning how to play DB. So.
Kind of piggybacking off of that question, was there a point along the way where you felt like it was really starting to click, where you're like, okay, I'm feeling more comfortable playing the defensive back?
I would say coming off my freshman year, because I say my freshman year was, I was like, all right, like I was improving a lot, but it was still like, I would say, after my freshman year, it kind of started to come together. I started, really understanding, my job and really, just, watching film and seeing the guys ahead of me. I got to see some, really great guys ahead of me. So that's really what kind of, powered me to, improve and, look up to those guys, like Tyke, Javon Bullard in my freshman year. So.
Your bio says you're studying biological science. Is that still the case?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Is that hard to balance with football?
It's a struggle, you know what I'm saying? But I'll say, like, I came to college to, play, elite level football and also get an education. So, I come from a household that, values education, and I value my education. So I would just say, it's a balance. I would say it's not, you just got to figure out your balance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I may not, get to watch TV or play video games all day. I got to study. I have a chemistry test, a physics test. So for me, I think I was prepared to take on the academic rigor. You know what I'm saying? So I think I was prepared. Through high school, going to a private school. So, you know.
Yeah, Kyron, what stands out to you about Zion Branch and how he's fit in with the rest of you guys in the second?
Yeah. Zion's my guy. I think he's fit in. Very well around here. I would say, like, me and him became close as soon as he got here. And, I think he's he loves football, and I'll say, like, he's just a good guy to be around, and I'll say, like, he brings a lot to our football team, as a player, and as a person. So, I say he's a really good addition to his team.
Yeah, Kyron, over here.
Okay. Gotcha.
Kirby's mentioned you as a guy who likes to thump, I think was what he said. You were an offensive guy in high school, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So kind of how did you develop the love for contact?
Well, I played running back, so as you know, running back, you getting hit every play. So, high school, I took decent hits, you know what I'm saying? And kind of like, as I got, towards my senior year, it was more of like, trying to, figure out how to deliver a hit, a little bit. And then, once I got the defense, it's like, I'm the one that's hitting. So it's like, I'm coming in with the force, you know what I'm saying? I'm not the one carrying the ball. So for me, I always love contact, but, now I'm the one really bringing it. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say the love has always been there. It's just that I guess being on defense, you really get to kind of embrace that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not just running to score touchdowns. You're trying to run through somebody. So.
I wanted to ask you about Todd Robinson, how he's fit in, and what you're seeing from him in his first spring.
Yeah, man. Todd's a great athlete. You know what I'm saying? I joke with him all the time. Came in as a quarterback, and I think he's really athletic, and I say he's strong, fast. So it's just coming in. As a freshman, just learning the system. So he's been doing great. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, he's a good guy too. Yep.
You ran the ball a lot in high school. You ever talk to the coaches about doing it here? You see Dylan Bell doing it, doing that double duty. You ever thought about it?
I'm just coming in. I'm just trying to learn defense. You know what I'm saying? That's why I came into play. So, yeah, I've been really, discussed it or nothing. I came here to play safety. Playing the secondary. So that's kind of how it's been right now.
Any more for Kyron? One more for Kyron.
I see you are a state champion in track and field. Who's been giving you, when y'all do team runs, who competes with you in terms of speed?
Man, so I'll say I've been competing with somebody on this team for quite some time. Chris Peel. We were rivals in high school. He went to Provincetown, I went to Charlotte Christian. We right up the street from each other. So really, it was rivalry in football and track. So I competed against him almost all the time in track. So we always had like a friendly competition, and then kind of growing to becoming teammates. We still compete within each other. Like I'm trying to hit a higher, miles per hour, speed than he is. He's trying to hit a higher miles per hour speed than me. So I'll say, me and him have always just been, competing. So I'll say like probably him and really, everybody, because I feel like everybody, on this team, is a competitor, and everybody wants to compete and everybody wants to win. So I would say, really as a team, we all kind of, compete with each other. So.
All right, Kyron. Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Yep.
Kyron.